Welcome back. Moving forward, in this lesson, I'm going to talk about the different Android measures. So we took a look at the DP, which is density pixels, or scale pixels, or millimeter, point, and so forth. So in order for your application to be flexible and compatible with any device configuration, careful thought is basically required to make sure the user experience is appropriate across configurations. So for instance, when creating an Android application, typically designers or developers, they must create these user interfaces that work well with small space of a phone and a large space of a tablet. So you also need to take into account image resource optimizations for high and low density screens. So the basic design concept of Android is to have these user interfaces and have elements that are about the same physical size. Keep in mind that screen density, or not resolution, right? So screen density is the ratio of resolution and display size, which basically can be quantified as dots per inch, or DPI. So the higher the DPI, the smaller each individual pixel is. That makes sense. And of course, you'll get greater clarity. In other words, simply put, a higher DPI means more detail is displayed per inch, but does not necessarily correlate with a higher screen resolution. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have a Galaxy Nexus 4.65 inch diagonal screen that basically has a 720 by 1280 pixel resolution, while the Nexus 7 has a 7-inch diagonal screen which has 800 by 1280 pixel resolution. Keep in mind, it's a common misconception to assume that they have about the same screen density since the resolutions are almost identical. However, the Galaxy Nexus has a screen density of about 316 dpi, and the Nexus 7 has a screen density of 216 dpi. In other words, first one has 316 dpi and this one has 216 dpi, not even close. And this is because while they're displaying the same resolution, they're also displaying it in different amounts of space. So again, screen density is a ratio of resolution and display size, and both factors contribute to the density. So careful thought needs to be given when you're working with your device configuration and sizes. So typically in Android, user interfaces can be created in XML, and of course they can also be created programmatically, right? So you could use Java to create these as well. In order to express a form of distance or length, there are several units for dimensions. And the six more important dimensions, or the units of measure, that I'm going to just briefly focus before I end this lesson. First is the pixel, which corresponds to the actual pixels on the screen. Number two is the inches, based on the physical size of the screen. And again, I just gave you a couple of examples. Three is millimeters, based on the physical size of the screen. Four is if you want to use point, then it's 1 divided by 72 of an inch based on the physical size of the screen. Fifth is DP, also known as DIP, density independent pixels, which is an abstract unit that is based on the physical density of the screen. And these units are relative to a 160 dpi screen. So 1 dp is 1 pixel on a 100 dpi or 160 dpi screen. And that's important, so keep that in mind. So the ratio of dp to pixel will change with the screen density, but not necessarily in direct proportion. So note, the compiler accepts both dip and dp, though dp is more consistent with sp. That's why we use that. And finally, the sixth unit of measure is sp itself, which is scale independent pixels. And it's like the dp unit, but is also scaled by the user's font size preference. And it's only recommended if you use this unit with specifying font sizes, so they will adjust for both screen density and user preference. So kind of keep in mind the basic difference between DP and SP as we move along. So in this lesson, just wanted to quickly cover the core concept of Android units of measure. So next time when you're creating your text view, for instance, or you're working with font size, you can apply any one of these, measure based on your own requirement after giving careful thought. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, post in the discussion area. With this, let's move to the next lesson.